Good evening. Good evening, friends and comrades. Good evening from the old city of Jerusalem. My name is Nadira Shalhoub Kevorkian. I'm really excited to welcome you today to our 25th meeting of UK-Palestine, entitled Testimonies from Palestine Between Debilitation and Livability. And this is actually part one, and part one is starting with voices from Gaza, and we're hoping that we will continue from voices from different areas in Palestine. Let me just inform our Arabic speakers that Sundos will be able, if you can share your phone number on the chat, she will be able to translate what we're saying in English into Arabic. There will be a group, and that would really be our ability to also make it accessible to others. And if I may ask Martin also to start admitting people so I can continue. Thank you very much. Okay, so again, good evening, everybody. I must say that in planning this event, I spent the last 2 weeks conversing and learning from today's amazing speakers. Yeah, so we will have Serena Awad, a young activist from Gaza. We'll have Dr. Muhammad Omran Abu Shawish, a clinical psychologist, mental health director, Ministry of Health. He's a lecturer at the clinical psychology department at Al Isra University. We will have Mr. Sufyan Badr, director of Markaz al-Rusul, a community center again in Gaza. And we will have Ms. Basma Abu Amra. She's a psychologist that works at Gaza Community Mental Health Program. Now, I must start saying before we get that the meeting is being recorded and will later be put on our website. You are really encouraged to put any question in the chat in English or in Arabic. And again, as I said, if anyone wants an ongoing summary in Arabic, please contact Sundus Ghalayani. She is from Gaza, but she's currently in the UK, and she'll offer by running a WhatsApp group. So you can definitely contact Sundus on the chat. Let me contextualize our meeting today. I want to take us back to May 2021 and remind us all that COVID-19 kept people in Gaza and other places at home, but it was the last week of Ramadan for Gaza. It was the Eid, and the Eid was approaching, but Israel viciously attacked anyway. Serena told me, and Serena is one of our speakers, the violence, the immense fear, the pain and trauma made her want to hug her family more. After all, she still has her arms to hug them. Sufyan discussed fatherhood and the sea, and he said that both the sea and his fatherhood were sources of power, but were also sources of powerlessness, and spaces of breath and breathing. When Basma taught me about light, she said that having light amidst the darkness of the attack and the scary noises of bombing was a source of hope and strength, but also a source of precarity, because if she uses the light to move around, can the Israeli airplanes see and attack? And Dr. Abu Shawish was very clear when he spoke to me, because he spoke about his own internal wounds, because his work involves him finding people under the rubble left by Israel's war machine. Hearing the voices of survivors was very rewarding for him. A sense of, yes, we did it, we find someone. But what kind of hope to make life amidst a dense sense of agony and fear? Edward Said once said, nations are themselves narrations. And the four amazing Palestinian Gazan comrades we are hosting today will narrate their stories and share with us their own testimonials from the last attack on Gaza. In listening and learning from Basma, Sufyan, Muhammad and Serena's testimonies of power and pain. Our attempt is not only to share, but also to confront the violence, the fear, and the destruction of the latest udwan, as Sufyan insisted, don't call it war, call it an attack against Palestinians of Gaza. Or as Mahmoud Darwish explained, and I quote, the truth of the matter is that I am terrified. I'm terrified of falling among the ruins, prey to mooning no one can bear. So let me start with Serena. Serena, can you share with us your witnessing of Israel's debilitation efforts?
Yes, hello everyone, and thank you for having me in Cafe of Palestine. And special thanks for Dr. Nadira and Dr. Yasser Abu Jama. Well, my name is Serena. I'm 22 years old from Gaza, Palestine, but originally from a Lid city. So my whole life, I've been living and witnessing attacks starting from 2000, when I was only 1 year old, when Al-Aqsa Intifada happened, and then in 2008, 2012, 2014, and 2018, the Great March of Return, and the last attack was 1 month ago. The Israeli attack bombs started just right after, when the government in Gaza has reduced the safety measures regarding the closure of restaurants, public places, and malls. So when we were about to enjoy the last days of Ramadan, the attack started. So we as Gazans live under three confinement, starting from the illegal blockade. This is number one. The number two is the closure of COVID-19, where I believe most of the people around the world may have felt what Gazans have been living for 15 years. And the last one was the attacks, the last attack on Gaza. So these are the three confinements that Gazans are living under. So the last attack was actually 11 days of facing death face to face every day. It was 11 days of me and my family not being able to leave the house to buy food, or even to just go for a walk. So it was 11 days of me not being able to eat because of the stress, and also 11 days of me not being able to sleep for 2 hours straight without waking up, freaking out from the sound of the bombs, as the house was heavily shaking. So as you may know, that Gaza is a very small city. It's only 365 square kilometers, and there actually were a warplane above every street in Gaza. So the worst night for me was when it started at midnight. They threw more than 100 bombs in 40 minutes. So it nonstop. So it was a 40 minutes of nonstop, just hearing the sounds from the sky, from the sea, from the borders. So this night, the whole city was under fire, and also the sky was completely red. So I thought this is gonna be the end. I thought that this night I will be dead. So me and my family gathered in one room, in one place, in one spot, because we said that if we're going to die, we have to die together. No one is left to grieve or to be sad because of the other. So this night, we stayed in one room hearing the bombs getting closer and closer. And actually every morning it was tiring and consuming to wake up and ask every friend of mine, every family of mine, if they're still alive. I've been texting all my friends if they're still breathing or if they're still around. So I do remember there's one night my best friend, she was sleeping with her family safely in her house. So they bombed her house without any previous warning. To wake up to find herself under the rubble of her house, she and her mother were severely wounded, and her father, who's psychiatrist and he is 65 years old, was dead. So knowing that something happened to my friend, something happened to someone I know, made it so much harder for me. So my whole body was shaking during the next coming days, and I started having nightmares until now. It's like it's been a month now and I'm still having nightmares. I wake up at the middle of the night just imagining they're going to bomb, or imagining the sound of the bombs. So I do also remember that my younger brother in the attack in 2008, he was only 5. He asked my mother if she could hide him inside her body. But now we are older. Like, I know this war, my brother is older, I am older. We know our parents cannot protect us from the bombs. And we saw that our parents are afraid as much as we are. So they are helpless, they cannot protect us, as we don't have safe places. There's zero shelters. Should we just stay at our home where it's supposed to be the safest place? And it's actually the opposite for Israelis. They have shelters and they have double citizenships that allow them to leave the country and go to their homes whenever there is something dangerous. But it's it's completely different for us. So about bombing houses is not only destroying something tangible, it's also destroying memories. In 2014, Israeli bombs destroyed my grandparents' house. It was completely destroyed. I know we can build another one, and actually we built another one, but it will never be the same. It was the place where we used to play, eat, have fun. It was actually the last memory of my grandparents, and now it's not still there. So bombing houses is something we were afraid the most of this war, because it was so much, and they were targeting houses. This time it was so, and without any previous warning. As happened, there were complete family, there were maybe 12 families, they were completely erased from the civilian record. They don't exist now. So just I want to say that at the end, there is no such thing as ceasefire. I know now they declared a ceasefire, but there is no such thing. We still hear the sound of the warplanes, the attacks still happening in Jerusalem, in West Bank, and also the illegal and inhuman blockade is still in Gaza. We don't have enough medical aid or enough electricity. So the suffering and the destruction is still there. I go to work every day and I see the destruction every day in my way to work, and I can still see people suffering. So we here in Gaza live in a constant fear, just waiting for the next aggression. So we wake up every day, just imagine this is gonna be the last day, or maybe tomorrow we will have another aggression. So there is no such thing as ceasefire, no matter what they're saying in the news. So as I said, we're living in a constant fear. And as the last thing I want to just say, that the trauma is never paused, it's ongoing. No matter how much we're going through wars or attacks, as I said, I can't say I'm used to this. I know I was born to this, but it will never gonna be the same. Each time it is more hard and hard for us. So this is what briefly about the 11 days I've just lived.
Thank you, Serena. شكرا كتير كتير. Thank you. You know, just your words, the power of your words, facing death, dying together, worrying about family members, the sounds, the zero shelter, and the fact that the destruction is not about destroying homes, it's about destroying memories, it's about destroying the ability to address it and to understand, to cope, and so on. And that the blockage is also a major issue that we need to look at. And I want here to really, maybe something that you have mentioned, that what you're telling us also, how do we address such destruction? How do we count it? What is the yardstick? Should we look at them when there is no post, because it's continuing? So thank you very much, Serena, for sharing. I want to move to Dr. Abu Shawish and to ask you, when you think about debilitation, when you think about the attack, when you think about the 11 days, when you think about what is going on, where do you take us? What did you witness? How can you share with us your ordeal, your analysis, your eyes, your testimonies?
Okay, good evening, everybody. Assalamu alaikum from the middle of Gaza Strip. It's a pleasure to be present with you today to talk about the situation in Gaza Strip. I'm Mohammed Abu Shawish, clinical psychologist from Gaza. I'm work as a psychosocial support program in Community Mental Health Directorate and a part-time lecturer in Isra University for the clinical psychology department. Really, when I was start this talking now, I now heard if you heard with me, the drone that they are flying in our sky here in Gaza. this is the drone with high voice. It's mean that there is still an alarming issues come from the Israeli part, that we are still under the aggression, we are still under the attack. And I'm now sit in front of the computers to talk to you, and my kids is around me. They are telling me that there is still another round. It's in the sky, and this is something always memorize our people in Gaza Strip, not just the kids, all the member and all the level of age that you are still under the acquisition of attack maybe happened in any time for the Palestinian people in Gaza Strip. That's what means that Serena said that the ceasefire is not something actually we feel it in our heart. It's something really a fake something for our people in Gaza Strip. Actually, the last aggression in Gaza Strip it consists of the blatant violation of all international humanitarian law, not only targeting the humans but affecting all aspects of life in Gaza Strip. Even animals, homes, they are not spared from this aggression. And when we are talk about the home, that the thing that Serene is ended with him, the home here in Gaza Strip is a present valuable thing, because here in Gaza all the people is live in the economical state is not enable him to build their house until they mostly spend two-thirds of their life. Maybe most of the people here is reach the 15 years old or more or less to establish their home and to be able to make this safe area for their kids and for their family, and to start at least to spend the other money to let their kids to be learned, and to spend this money for university and another goods for life, basic life needs. And the Israeli aggressions come and demolish this home with simple way, without any looking for this issue and this valuable thing for our people in Gaza Strip. Actually, also when I think about the last aggression, I remember my kids when they are listened and heard any voice that they are come from the bomber team that come from Israeli attack over the Gaza Strip, and how much they are feel scared and run to me to hug me and to say what happened, what we can do to be escape from this dangerous issues and dangerous conditions that they are face in the Gaza Strip in the last aggression. It was one from the most aggressive aggression we are faced in the Gaza since the Israeli occupation of the Palestine. And as I said to Dr. Nader before, I don't forget my father. Especially, you know that my father is the leader of our family. It's called Mukhtar here in Gaza Strip, and you mean that what mean of Mukhtar? It's the safe. It is resemble the safe and the leadership of our family, and we are as a family live in both floor in the same building, and every day in the evening I associate my kids to be upstairs to sit with him to feel safe and to talk with him about the event to start to assemble, and they tell me it is the first time for me that I feel scared, most scared from the event, because in the last aggression there is no safe place in any part of on any millimeter in Gaza Strip. Every part that they are targeted from the Israeli bombarding and shelling without any excuse for even the international building or schools or health facilities, big and if we talk about the health facilities, we talk about hospitals, clinic, and different institutions that they represent the humanitarian aspect of human life in the Gaza Strip. I remember that when we are back to our work, we have a clinic in the West Gaza. They are provide a community mental health service for our people. We find it's distracted and affected by the demolition and attack of the Israeli bombardment over the Gaza Strip. And this is mean that most of our psychiatric patient or patient with mental disorders not able to take their medication and to take their care from the clinic because the clinic it was closed during the war. And this is not only the aspect can we talk about if we are also talking about the mental health patient in Gaza Strip. I don't remember the one patient that we are cared in psychiatric hospital and during the last year, because you know that the last aggression it's come during the Eid, and we are habitually give the patient that they are admitted in psychiatric hospitals and a vacation to spend the Eid with their family. And there is a patient, I don't going to tell their name, but it's a patient from psychiatric hospital. They are get an okay to go to their home to spend the Eid with their family, and during the aggression they was relapsed and have very catastrophic symptoms that not able their family to deal with him. So they are call us to bring him to psychiatric hospital, and we're not able because there are no safe road or safe transportation to bring this patient to psychiatric hospitals, and they are run away from their home and they are come close to the border with Israeli aggression, and he was killed by Israeli soldier when he was close to the border. This is one from the aspects that we are affected during the last aggression over the Gaza Strip. Actually, also, if we can talk about the picture that they are present in our mind, that they are very difficult way, for example, during the end of the ceasefire that they are give us to start to move in Gaza Strip, especially after a long closure due to the COVID-19. We take our kids to go to the sea, for example, to spend a time for refreshing or to retreat him after this long or 11 day of aggression. We find that the only street, our longest street that we are established in the last years, it's called the Rashid Street. It is the street in front of the sea, and it's one from the most area that we are as a Gazian people go there to spend the time and to be happy with our family. We find every 500 meters there is a bombardment that they are distract this way, and you cannot able to go along Gaza Strip without have diverting your road or your space to overcome this obstacles. So this is mean that they are intentionally start to destroy all the aspect of life in Gaza Strip, and this is not only the aspect that they are affected by the Gaza Strip. Also, if I back to my profession as a clinical psychologist, when I going to have a conversation with, or for example, a civil defense that they are working during the last aggression over the Gaza Strip, they tell me about their story when they are going to rescue the people that they are under rubble of destructed house in the Rimal area. It's called Abu Auf family building. They are going on their behalf without any coordination with ICRC, because the ICRC officer in Gaza tell him that there is no response from the Israeli side, that they have the permission to go there to evacuate and rescue the people, and they are going in their account without any consideration for their safety, and they are reached to this building and they start to make any kind of effort to rescue the people, and they are start to hear the voice under the rubble that they are come from the people that they are under this troubles, children, female and male, that they are under this rubble, and this start with loud voices that ask him to rescue him from these rebels, and they spend a long night close to him, heard their voices, and these voices start to be down time by time, and lastly they are lost this voice. This means that they are lost the people under the rubble without any ability to rescue him, because they are not have any kind of tools that they enable him to rescue these people under the rubble. This is one picture that they are come from this 11 days of aggression over the Gaza Strip. Also, the thing that we are going to talk about that we are memorized and apprised that the memory that come in our mind that we are genetically earned from our fathers and mother. They are refugees that they are come from the area that they are occupied during 1948. For example, me, I am refugee from Barka village. It's close to Asdod city, and we are starting to see in the television how much our people inside they are uprising and start to be dealt aggressively with from the Israeli soldier in Jerusalem and live in Lid, Haifa, Nasra, Al-Fahim, all the village or and the city inside the Israel under the Israeli control in the side, and this is make us how much we are from 1948 until now 2021. It's the only country all over the world that is still under the occupation without any intervention from the any international institutions. That mean that we are always have this kind of hopelessness if we talk about but in the other side when we are look for our people inside 1948 area that they are still linked to us and still close to us and they are have the same issues and the same concern, and we always together to fight this occupation. This give us another hope to continue our life and start to be more solidar and more able to stand up to fight against our right and against all the thing that they are going to end our case. Thank you for hearing for us.
Shukran, shukran. You know, at one point you're telling us the drones are above your head. You're telling us home became a prison. You're telling us that parenting was shaken, childhood was shaken, no safe home. Patients are being really left alone. The destruction of life is all over. The risk and the rescuing is, and then you're telling us yet people are still struggling. What an important voice. Dr. Abu Shawish, what an important voice, you know, between you and Serena, like you take us to what Palestine is that this struggle. But I want to move to Mr. Sufyan and to ask you, you know, if you can share with us your own perception, your own analysis, your own experience. You were talking about the sea, about fatherhood, about the hardship, about the community, and your emphasis on the community was major. So Sufyan, ممكن أطلب منك, can I ask you to be with us and to share your story?
اوكي ممكن انا احكي باللغه العربيه وحدا سندس اعتقد اللي حتترجم.
Okay.
أنا هيني موجودة نادرة if you need me.
Yeah, thank
تمام.
you. Please.
يسعد مساكم. انا سعيد جدا باني اليوم مشارك معكم وسعيد بمشاركتكم ضمن هذا اللقاء.
خليني أترجم. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be with you and a pleasure to participate in this meeting. تفضل أخ سفيان.
صراحة لم يكن الأمر كما يعني سمع لدى الآخرين. الأمر كان في غزة في غاية الصعوبة والتعقيد.
The situation in Gaza was extremely complicated and difficult.
خاصة وإنه إحنا بصراحة بنواجه قوة عسكرية يعني عظيمة جدا ومهيمنة جدا، ولا تنظر للاعتبارات الإنسانية ولا الاعتبارات الدينية أو الحقوقية.
As we face a powerful, enormous military power that doesn't, that has no regard for human rights or dignity or survival.
خلال 11 يوم في العدوان الإسرائيلي على غزة، احنا شعرنا يعني أنا كرب أسرة شعرت بأنه الموت فعلا قريب مني ومن أولادي بشكل مستمر دون انقطاع.
During the 11 days of attack on Gaza, I felt death was near me and my children. It was a non-stop feeling of death being imminent.
بالمقابل كان مطلوب مني كرب أسرة إنه أحاول قدر المستطاع وإن كنت ضعيف بإنه أحمي أولادي أو أساعدهم في إنه يعني ما يكونش في عندهم يعني مشاعر حادة أو يظهروا هذه المشاعر بطريقة ممكن تأذيهم، لأنه بصراحة كانت الأمور كتير صعبة.
In spite of this traumatic and most difficult situation, the forefront of my mind was my role as a father and my need to care for my children and to help them manage the extreme emotions they were going through and to help them survive this very difficult situation.
أنا أسكن بمدينة غزة، لأنه أنا يعني بالمدينة والضربات كانت يعني مركزة على مدينة غزة في هذا العدوان. بصراحة كنا يعني أولاً بأول نشعر بحدة الضربات ووجع يعني كان يتولد عندنا وجع كثير كبير، لدرجة إنه إحنا كنا يعني نحاول قدر المستطاع نأمن حالنا في مكان صغير 20 متر.
So I live in the city of Gaza, which received most of the attacks. And I had to, and during that period, the situation was so painful for me. It was managing the pain and finding also a space where my family and I could be safe. We were staying in a like 20 square meter space to just make sure we're most protected from the attack.
فعلا احنا كنا يعني في مواجهة صعبة. للأسف كل تحركاتنا اليومية الاعتيادية كانت صعبة. حتى يعني الممارسات العادية في البيت، ذهابنا إلى الحمام أو المطبخ أو تناول الطعام أو النوم، كان بيمثل لنا يعني إشي صعب، لأنه بصراحة ما كناش قادرين لا جسمانيا ولا عصبيا ولا نفسيا من التحرك داخل البيت، مع أنه أنا بيتي نوعا ما محاط، يعني ما كانش كتير خطير، ولكن المنطقة كانت خطيرة بشكل عام.
Every aspect of life was difficult. Every single aspect of life was difficult. Although my house itself wasn't under attack, the whole area was under attack. And when I say every aspect of my life was difficult, going to the bathroom, eating, sleeping, any daily activities which people can perform with ease for us were very difficult, were hard to perform.
أكثر إشي كان مؤلم بإنه إحنا كنا نسمع على الأخبار بإنه في بيوت مدنية بتنضرب وفي ناس أبرياء بيموتوا، فكان قدر المستطاع إحنا بنحاول إنه ما نعلم أولادنا وما نخليهم يسمعوا هذا الشيء، لكن للأسف كانت بطريقة أو بأخرى يسمعوا أو يعرفوا. فكانوا يعني أطفال يسألوني إحنا طب ليش بيقتلونا؟ ليش إحنا بصير فينا هيك؟ بصراحة كنت أنا أكون عاجز في بعض الأحيان على الإجابة أو الرد على هاي الأسئلة.
Okay, now I'm speaking as the interpreter. It's so painful to translate, so sad. So the hardest thing was trying to keep this information from my children, for them not to know that actually civilian homes were being shot and destroyed and innocent people were being killed. And then my children will find out that actually innocent Palestinians are being killed, and I had to, and they would ask, why is this happening to us? Why do they want to kill us? Why are we being targeted?
صراحة كان يعني حجم الدمار المحيط في المنطقة والضربات المتتالية يعني أثر بشكل كتير كبير على الوضع النفسي للأطفال أثناء الحرب وما بعد، حتى تحديدا في موضوع الجهاز العصبي عندهم. صرت أشعر بأنه عند الأطفال في مشاكل بدأت تظهر، يعني ما كنتش في يوم من الأيام أتوقع تكون عندهم، خاصة أنه أو أطفالي يعني منهم حدا 11 سنة وحدا 9 سنين وحدا 5 سنين، ما كنتش أشعر بأنه ممكن يكون في عندهم مشاكل عصبية زي اللي أنا شفتها اليوم لحتى هذه اللحظة.
One of the most difficult things that I've seen is seeing children having psychological and problems in their nervous system that I would not have expected to see in children. I have children ages, my children are aged 5, 11, and 9. And I see them going through things I never thought they would go through. I never thought I would see symptoms as I've seen with my children.
بعد انتهاء الحرب مباشرة توجهت لمكان عملي، وللأسف إنه مكان عملي هو المكان محاط بالأماكن اللي تضررت بشكل مباشر، محاط بمعنى الكلمة. المركز اللي أنا بشتغل فيه اللي هو يعني متخصص بالأطفال، أقرب ضربة له هي عبارة عن مترين ما بين المركز والمكان اللي ضرب بشكل محيط، يعني في ال3 اتجاهات في ضربات يعني ضخمة وعظيمة في المكان.
When I returned back to work, I saw the destruction. I work in a center for children, and the destruction was so near. Some attacks took place just 2 meters away from my workplace, and it was quite shocking to observe.
من الطبيعي إنه إحنا نحاول يعني نساعد مقدمي الخدمات أو الرعاية، ونساعد أنفسنا بالدرجة الأولى في إنه إحنا نعيد الأنشطة أو التدخلات كما كانت سابقاً.
So our priority was to go back to work and to go back to providing the assistance we need to provide. We had to help ourselves and help the workers who are helping the children.
كان واضح الآثار ما بعد العدوان على الأطفال على المستوى النفسي والعصبي. عشان هيك احنا وضعنا مجموعة من التدخلات لتخفيف حدة الضغط النفسي وتفريغ هاي الأعباء النفسية الكبيرة.
So the attacks have caused enormous psychological and emotional issues, and مش عارفة نادرة بتقولي nervous system. Are we talking about the nervous system?
Probably the psychological state of mind.
Yeah. So the psychological state of mind, the attacks, we had to find ways and measures to address the issues that were coming up that we haven't seen before.
احنا بنستهدف حوالي 200 طفل بشكل مباشر و500 طفل بشكل غير مباشر. معظمهم كانت أوضاعهم كتير صعبة، وعبروا عن حالات الخوف بشكل مباشر، وعبروا إنه إحنا يعني بهذا العدوان تأثرنا بشكل كتير كبير، وشعرنا بالخوف والقلق على حياتنا وحياة الناس المحيطة فينا.
Our population, we work with about 200 children, and the children kept saying we had to face death. We were worried about ourselves. We were worried about the people who care for us.
المهم إنه إحنا يعني نحكي المعلومة المهمة للناس وللي بيسمعونا، إنه إحنا كونه يعني تأثرنا بمجموعة ضربات أو حروب بداية من 2008 ل 2012 و14 و2021. إحنا يعني معلش يعني ما زلنا بنتأثر، وكل ضربة بنتأثر فيها أكثر من اللي راح. يعني مش صحيح بالحكى إنه صاروا أهل غزة متعودين على الضربات، فعلا لا، إحنا مش متعودين. إحنا كل يوم أو كل هجوم بنتأثر نفسيا وعاطفيا وعصبيا أكثر من اللي راح.
One piece of information I want people to hear and understand, people who are listening to us right now, is that yes, the people of Gaza have suffered several attacks, 2008, 2012, 2014, 2021, and that doesn't mean we get used to it. In fact, it gets worse every time. Every new attack, it gets worse for us. We don't get used to these attacks.
احنا لا نملك خيارات الا انه نضل بغزه، لانه يمكن العالم كله بيعرف انه احنا محاصرين وما زلنا محاصرين، لا بنسافر لا بنطلع لا بنمارس حياتنا بشكل طبيعي، وبالتالي احنا ما عندناش خيارات الا انه نحاول نتكيف مع هاي الظروف غير العاديه.
We have no choice but to stay in Gaza. We have no choice but to stay in Gaza. As you know, we are surrounded, we are blockaded. We have no option but to try to survive and function in these extreme circumstances.
أنا أعرف مجموعة من الأسر انتقلوا من أماكن سكناهم من بيوتهم لأماكن تانية بالإيجار، لأنهم حابين يغيروا المكان، حابين يغيروا نفسيتهم، ولأنهم هم خايفين، لأنه هذا المكان صار مكان منفر مش مكان يعني كما كان سابقا.
I know families who had to leave their homes they owned, and rent places somewhere else within Gaza, so that because the place became emotionally difficult to stay in, it became a place that brought them negative and bad feelings. They had to move somewhere else.
العدوان الأخير خلف مجموعة كبيرة من يعني خلف دمار في الأماكن، في المباني، خلف دمار على الصعيد النفسي والعصبي. يعني أنا ما زلت حتى الآن لدي مشكلة في القولون العصبي، ولدي مشكلة في إنه فعلا أنا مش حاسس حالي إنه كما كنت سابقا بصدق يعني وبوضوح، وهذا يعني ما نلاحظه بشكل عام في غزة.
The destruction did not only destroy buildings and infrastructure, it also destroyed the souls and the emotional and mental health of the people in Gaza. I myself don't feel the same way. I feel different. I feel I endured emotional and psychological damage.
يمكن لأنه إحنا بنحب الحياة، مطلوب منا نتمسك فيها ونضلنا متمسكين بالأمل فعلا. علشان هيك إحنا بنحاول يعني نفرغ ونشوف حالنا في أماكن كتير محدودة وخيارات كتير بسيطة.
Maybe it is because we love life. We want to live life. We attach to life. So we try to find spaces, and maybe small spaces, where we can feel we could survive.
يعني أنا مثلا مطلوب مني أخذ أولادي في رحلات، لكن للأسف يعني مثال بسيط، البحر عندنا يعني بنسبة 85% غير صالح للسباحة أو غيره، لكن للأسف مطلوب مني أنا أستجم أنا وأطفالي في نقطة معينة أو في مساحة بسيطة معينة قريبة من الحدود، ومعرض نفسي وأطفالي للخطر. أوكي، لكن معلش شو خياراتي؟ شو أعمل؟ يعني ما عنديش خيارات.
There are certain roles and duties I want to perform, and I have the options are so limited. So, for example, I want to take my children to a trip. I want to take them to the sea, but most of the sea, you can't swim in it. And I end up taking them to a very small area, which is close to the border, and I have to I risk my life and my children's life because I want to give them something they need, and I want to be able to perform my duties or my role as a father.
صراحة إحنا الفلسطينيين تحديدا في غزة نظهر للعالم بأنه إحنا متشبثين بالأرض، وهذا طبعا وأكيد، لكن صراحة في أعباء كتير كبيرة وفي ثمن كتير باهظ بندفعه مقابل هذا التمسك، واللي إحنا بصراحة يعني متمسكين فيه عن وعي وعن قناعة بأنه إحنا أصحاب هذه الأرض.
Let me take it.
Sorry.
That what Sufyan is telling us, that he's withholding to life and he's withholding to continuity, and what he was trying to say, that his words is we love life and we speak life, but at the same time life became really unbearable due to the immense restrictions and hardships. And I really want to thank you, Sufyan, for your honesty. يعني صراحتك بتجنن وبتفتح القلب. Your openness is really amazing, because usually we don't, and this is where the idea of debilitation came, is by talking to Sufyan. The idea of offering that framework of analysis to looking at what goes in Gaza. So I really want to thank you, and I want to move to شكرا يسلموا. I want to move to Basma. And my discussions with Basma were absolutely stunning. I learned so much about her endurance of what went on. So if Sufyan was talking about death and war and the fact that he was lost for words, but he was lost for the streets because the streets are not the same street. Basma has another story to tell us and another witnessing of her witnessing of the last attack. Basma, inti معنا? Are you with us?
Yes, I'm with us. I'm with you, sorry.
Okay, تفضلي. Can we hear your witnessing your voice?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Basma is my name, psychologist at Aisha Association for Women and Child Protection. I've got the high diploma in mental health in cooperation of Gaza Community Mental Health Program and Islamic University. When I received the message from Dr. Yasser Abu Jama writing that he has chosen me to participate in Palestinian Cafe, I felt very happy because he thought about me to be here with you today and to speak as if I'm the voice of Gaza. I felt this will be easy for me, but after speaking with Dr. Nadira, and she told me the title for today's session, Palestine, between debilitation and livability, a lot of emotions moved me and affected my broken heart. All of a sudden, and while talking to Dr. Nadira, I was reminded that when I was just 5 years old, my mom rushed out of the house because the Israeli occupation was bombing a home very close to our home. In her rush and fear, she forgot me. She forgot me home alone. Today, we are afraid being inside our homes or even outside. No safe place is available to hide or move. No safe place is available to hide or move away from his barbarism of this brutal occupation. In every aggression, we saw death and we said we won't survive. But after it ends, that if there is an end of such aggression, we couldn't believe that we are still alive. We thought that we have faced the worst aggression, and there is nothing to be worse than this. We lived through 4 horrible aggressions by the Israeli occupation, in addition to the siege and the closure of crossings. But the last aggression was absolutely the worst. We were waiting our turns to be on TV among the wounded and martyrs and slain bodies. We were so scared that we will be the next family that will be wiped of the civil register beside the other 19 families. Put yourself in my place. Put yourself in my shoes and think, what would you do on these situations? Think about the 23 years old handsome man and a friend preparing himself for his friend's wedding and promised his friend that he will do the wedding party in his house. But suddenly, a treacherous missile falls on him and kills him immediately. A woman took her children and went to visit her brother's family to have fun, just to have fun. Suddenly, 6 or 7 missiles falls on her brother's house over their heads, and no one survived. But no one but one infant lived to live without his loved ones. A group of children was playing football in the street, laughing and very interested in the game. And suddenly, everything destroyed their bodies and their voices vanished. Nothing but their bloods and shirts. What will you feel if the distance between you and your sister's medicine, just the stairs, but you can't bring it for her because the electricity is off, and if you turn your light, you will be bombed. So the only thing that I can do to see my sister suffer her pain as an attempt to keep the other's life. What I could do when I'm as a psychologist, I'm close to our pregnant neighbor that was about to lose her last chance to be a mom. when her blood was on her feet, and none of us was able to take her to the hospital because all of the roads to the hospital are destroyed easily. It's destroyed completely. And if we try to go out home with her, we will die. How can I calm down my my youngest sister, that how can I calm her down? And how can I tell her that her friends died in attacking their home? Their best friend died in attacking their home. What should I say? What can we do? What can we do when we were so scared, can't move, but in need to reach to the bathroom? Then you have to wait because we are 8 families in one home and one bathroom. Is it fair? Is it fair that the social rule is different now? My nephew is just 3 years old. He told his grandma not to sleep in the morning because if anything happened, he will wear his boots and run away without waking her, leaving her behind to die. Put yourself in my friend's place and think that you are visually impaired. You are visually impaired and there is bombing, but thinks no one thinks about helping you. And there is a lot of broken glass and stones on the ground. She's escaping with her family, but she can't keep walking because she can't know her relatives. The war stopped, but it hadn't finished. Its consequences are more difficult and harmful, and every moment is unforgettable. Some people calls us a trauma people or a trauma community or maybe a community of trauma because trauma pass through generations. From Nakba till now, we get complex traumas that affected all the sides of our lives, from the infant to the old. Can you imagine the feelings that make a 4 year girl tell her mom, Mom, please take me back to your womb with my doll. And when the aggression ends, tell me to come because I love the life. When I visited women who survived after shelling their house over their heads and she lost her husband, she said to me, I felt that I was living in a grave while I was under rappels for hours. I was buried while I was alive. The nights in Gaza was the most difficult period of the day during the aggression because the Israeli occupation intensifies its attacks during the night. So we can't even close our eyes. The scenarios as follows. All the people in the home are staying in one room, supporting each other, hugging hugging their children and calming them down, putting a plan of how to leave the house if we were notified to leave home, scared not to die or lose the people they love or to be alone and lose all family members. Turn on the radio, hearing a news and the voices of missiles which bombed everywhere are louder than anything around you. And the smell of death is in everywhere and in every breath.
Yeah. Shukran, Basma. Thank you very much. It's um, it's hard to hear the voices. Really, thank you for sharing. But we also can feel the strength and the power
Yes,
in all what you have said. You were talking about the no safe place, but
yes,
you have pointed the gendered aspect of all the suffering in weddings, in birth, in death, in pregnancy,
yes,
in rescuing, in disability, in people with disability, and in leaving people to suffer in order to protect, which is another thing for us to think about. In you framing things as living in the grave, in nights that are hard, and in days that we discover the distractions. It's so hard to hear it, but it's also telling us how strong and how amazing. Thank you, really, Gazans. Thank you for sharing with us. those stories. And before I open the platform to Q's and A's, I really want to go back to you, to the four speakers, and to ask you to tell us about spaces of livability, about technologies of power, about spaces and abilities and strategies and modes of you creating new ways of dealing with and coping with the very hard stories, the facing of death. So let me go back to Serena again and ask you if you have, if you can, if you would like to add anything about power, livability, ability to continue in spite all the destruction.
So yes, well, actually, when Dr. Nadira first asked me about what makes you continue and wake up every morning to be alive, I couldn't find an answer at first because I didn't know what one thing is letting me do all of this. But looking at my daily activities, I think I might have the answer that I wake up, I go to work, I meet my friends, I go to the beach, I do everything I can ever do because I enjoy my day as it will be the last day. Because the last attack happens so surprisingly that I actually was on the beach. It was Ramadan, so we're waiting for the prayer so we can break our fast. So it all of a sudden the sky was full of the warplanes and we went back straight to home. So I live every day as it was the last day before the attack. So that's how I'm living my days. And actually, after every attack, I love Gaza more. So if they think that they are going to make us leave or immigrate or just find another country, this is not right. I love Gaza more and more every day. I love the beach more. I love the buildings. I love my family, my friends. As I do believe in our right, I do believe that our case is something it's our it's something fair. And actually what made my hope come bigger and bigger during the attack, when I saw every country or every city in the world were on a protest, starting from the United States, Europe, UK, Australia, Germany, and even in London. And actually the protests in Palestine itself, in West Bank, in the land of the 48 in Palestine. So seeing the city that I'm originally from, a lead city, seeing people in a lead going out to protest, like speaking and like chanting for the freedom of Palestine and freedom of Gaza, I was like, yes, people are with us, people are standing with us. So this is our hope. This is my hope, that people are now knowing the truth. The social media is now spreading and literally saying everything is happening. So this was my hope. And the second one, so the first one is the solidarity that comes from all over the world, and the second one is that because my grandmother was all the time telling about a lead city where she spent her childhood there, and how she was dreaming to just visit the city again and even to die there. So the reason I'm talking about Palestine, I'm all the time dreaming about the day when I will just go back to my original city, is that because I want to make my grandmother dream come true. I want to go there. I want to be where we're originally from, just to make sure that she's now is dying, and I have made her dream come true. So these are my two reasons that I wake up every day just and continue living.
Yeah, this is the power of livability, and this is the power of love to lead to Haifa to Yafa, and the power of solidarity. شكرا كتير سيرينا على القوة really. Dr. Muhammad Abu Shawish, can you share with us your own modes, strategies, ethics, values of livability?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nadra, and thank you again for Dr. Yasser to enable us to share in this meeting. Just I want to share my little story that I was in 2018, left Gaza to be in Europe, actually in France and between France and Germany. and spent mostly 10 months there between France and Germany to have many training course in my specialist. And it's an idea come in my mind during being there to stay there and not come back to Gaza. But after 10 months spent in France and Germany, I feel that there is something wrong come in my heart. I don't feel that I am able to live Gaza for uh, uh, for forever. It's not something match our soul. It's not something easy for us. So I may take the decision and back to Gaza again after 10 months left in Gaza, and this opportunity to lift all the stress and all the even that, but I still feel that the Gaza it's have their own way to life. When I look to eyes of my kids, how much they are enjoy even the time of the aggression when they are close to each others and start to invent way to compensate their fear, to overcome their stress by invent any games and any play when they are talk together about the missile that they are throw from the Israeli side to us and start to make a sense of humor over this. This is all the way that we are follow to continue our life here in Gaza when we are after the seas of our start to contact each other as a friends and as a family and start to plan for a journey to make a barbecue in the sea, in the beach, start to hold the meeting for training, for learning, for develop our capacity to help our people. All these issues make us feel that the Gazas have their own soul and their spirit, and always the Gaza atmosphere spirit us to be more stand up and to more linked to it, and we feel always that we are on the right side and we have the ability to stand to defend our right to stay in this land, and no way that we are able to lift these places and go anywhere in the world without have these issues or those visions that we will back again to continue our life to save our kids to their future as our fathers during they are passed through different issues and take us to pass to the futures and make our for example our jobs and our opportunity to help our people here for Gaza. This is the spirit of Gaza always in our mind and in our heart, and this is what pushes us to continue our life even with all these atmospheres and all catastrophic events that we are passing through.
Islam.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad. I think that like what we have heard from Sidina and Muhammad, I would like to hear, Sufyan, if you can tell us your position, because I can see something that is so nice. I must point it out to our audience. You know, usually you don't read about fatherhood. You don't see fatherhood in Palestine, but those two men on the screen, Dr. Muhammad and Sufyan, are really stressing the power of fatherhood to love and to continue loving and to show the togetherness, something that we seldom write about, but Dr. Abir writes about, but I want us to keep in mind in order to think about how love and how fathers love as mothers love, because we always talk about mothers love. So here we have amazing
Dr. Nadra, this is what makes us stand up and continue our life here in Gaza, our kids, and we believe that still have a futures to be spent here in Gaza. This is what make our us as solidarity and stand up for the futures.
ما أحلى سفيان. شكرا سفيان.
صراحة يعني أكثر شغلة كانت متعبة ومرهقة نفسيا إلنا كآباء إنه الشعور بالعجز، إنه إحنا غير قادرين على نعمل شيء. هذا كان شعور مؤلم
Yeah.
جدا.
Yeah, let me translate. Lama, are you there?
Sure. The most difficult and painful thing I had to go through is feeling the sense of powerlessness and inability to support and help my children and protect my children.
But احكي لنا وين كنت تشوف القوة، كيف كنت تمشي مع كل الصعوبة هاي. I'm asking him to share with us where did he gather the power to be able to continue in spite of all the hardships. Yeah.
صراحة الصور اللي كنت أنا بشوفها في البيت يعني والأحداث اللي كانوا بيمروا فيها أطفالي كانت يعني أي نعم بتخليني أشعر بالضعف والعجز، لكن في نفس الوقت كنت
We lost you, Sufyan. Sufyan, we lost you.
مش سامعينك سفيان. بطلنا نسمع.
We know that there is a problem in the electricity in Gaza, so I hope we did not lose Sufyan. We lost you, Sufyan. We lost you. نقدر
شيرين شوف الأولاد.
هلا سفيان.
ألو.
سمعينا.
أوكي تمام. بس بدلنا كهرباء معلش. طيب الآن أنا كنت بحكي بموضوع إنه أي نعم أنا كنت بشوف أولادي وكنت بتألم، لكن في نفس الوقت كنت أنا مآمن بإنه من الضروري إني أساعدهم ومن الضروري إني أقدم لهم الإسعاف النفسي الأولي في نفس الوقت.
Yes, I had to see images and visions that made me feel quite weak and incapacitated. But at the same time, I knew I had to remain strong and present to be able to help them, to help my children survive this time.
وصدقا لأني أنا بحب إنه نكمل بالحياة مع أولادي وأضلني معاهم وهم يضلوا معاي. أنا كنت كتير يعني ماخذ دور يعني بإنه قدر المستطاع أوفر لهم كل شيء. كان في صعوبة في توفير بعض المواد التموينية والأشياء والحاجيات الخاصة بالأطفال، لأنه كانت البقالات ما عندها شيء، فارغة شبه فارغة.
Yes, on one hand, I couldn't provide my children with certain basic necessities because the stores were closed, or even if they were open, they didn't have much. But at the same time, I knew what kept me strong is the sense that I wanted to live. I wanted to live. I wanted to see them through life. I wanted to survive and be with them.
كنت أنا يعني متمسك بأمل إنه الحرب هذه أو العدوان سوري حينتهي وما بعدها حنكمل في الحياة. وعلشان هيك أنا بصراحة ما بعد العدوان مباشرة انطلقت يعني بإنه حاول قدر المستطاع أوفر لهم كل احتياجاتهم وأنظم لهم مجموعة من الرحلات والطلعات وزيارة الأقارب.
What I kept hope, I held on to hope that the attack will be over and that I can move on from there. And in fact, when the attack ended, I found myself energized to give them the best life I could give them, take them on trips, take them to see relatives.
المهم نحكي فيه كمان يمكن أنا موظف وإلي راتب كل شهر ودخلي متوسط وأموري منيحة الحمد لله، لكن غزة أكثر من ثلثينها ما عندها إمكانيات مادية وبالتالي في عندهم مشاكل كثيرة على المستوى الاجتماعي والنفسي، في عندهم يعني شعور بالعوز صدقا يعني.
So I am fortunate in that I have a job, I have a monthly salary, but a large percentage of the people in Gaza are unemployed. They don't have financial resources. They have material lack and they can't do what I can do.
الحياة حتستمر وهذا اللي خلاني يعني خلال الفترة هاي فعلا أوضع أو أحط خطة لأنه أولادي يطلعوا من هاي يعني النتائج اللي خلفتها او خلفها العدوان. يمكن هذا يكون على الصعيد المادي زي ما حكيت مكلف، وعلى الصعيد كمان الاجتماعي مرهق، ولكن احنا مطالبين كاولياء امور وكمان كمسؤولين بالمجتمع انه نحاول نساعد هدول الناس بانهم يرجعوا للحياه اللي كانت عاديه رغم الصعوبات اللي بنمر فيها احنا بشكل مستمر.
You know, life will go on. Life will go on, and I knew that I had to use the resources I have, financial and emotional, to help my children, but also help the people of Gaza, people who cannot do what I can do. The social and emotional and material damage was great, but I knew that I had to put my best foot forward.
اخر شغله بدي احكيها انه ما بعد العدوان لم يكملوا الاطفال يعني التعليم بالمدارس نتيجه اللي هو قرارات كورونا وما شابه. بس انا كنت بدي اسال سؤال لنفسي وللمجتمع ولحضراتكم، يعني هل اولادنا فعليا كان بامكانهم يكملوا بالتعليم؟ طبعا لا، لانه في صعوبات موجوده بتحد من انه يعني الاستمرار بالعمليه.
You know, the last thing I want to mention, due to Corona and the attack, the children could not actually finish their school year. And the question I have is, I ask myself, and I would ask you, could the children continue their education after all they've been through and under these circumstances?
Yeah, Sufyan is
Thanks.
really asking very hard questions, starting from talking about the fact that it's hard to get grocery for your own kids, into the ability to continue their education under the circumstances, and then telling us, yes, but we are responsible and we have a responsibility as parents and as community leaders to move on. And this is very, very powerful, Sufyan. I want to it's just hard. You left me lost for words. I want to end with Basma and ask her if she can share with us her own position and stand regarding livability and the power to continue. Basma?
I just want to say sorry because I will not be able to open my camera because the battery is about to finish.
Yeah,
the electricity is off. I'm very sorry, but I just want to say that despite all this pain, we still alive. Despite all the barbarism of this occupation, we still alive. And I want to tell you that the martyrs' friend's wedding was done in the martyr's house, in a scene full of pain, happiness, braveness, and patience of the martyr's father. We still have the hope to return to our lands, to life without pain and dispossessions, and we will return. Gaza is like a starfish. Gaza is like a starfish. If a part is broken, it will grow twice. But the difference is that it keeps the scar in order not to forget the cause. We are always on fire, under severe apprehension, with a constant sense pain, even in the joy time, and joy even when in pain. You might fail to comprehend it, but this is Gaza. This is actually Palestine. Thanks for hearing me.
Thank you very much, Basma, for teaching us how to speak with dignity and how to live with dignity and how to talk about immense state criminality that is really unending, but dealing with it in such dignified voices from the four of you. I want to open the space, if you wish, for questions to our four amazing speakers. I know that we're all lost for words. I know that we're a bit overwhelmed emotionally because what we have heard is very strong. What we have heard is very dignifying to Palestine, dignifying to Gaza. The love for a home when the home is a prison, as Dr. Abu Shawish said, facing death, but we continue, as Serena was telling us. And then, you know, Sufyan's ability to create new spaces of hope and power and love and the dignity while living in the grave that we were hearing from Basma. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and raise your hand and let us see whether we can pick up some of your voices. You want to say something? Go ahead. Unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yes, now, wonderful.
Thank you so much for the testimonies. Very, very moving. My question is, has it been possible to restructure some of the mental health services in Gaza since the so-called ceasefire?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other interventions I might ask my Manal. Yes, go ahead.
إذا ممكن نادرة ترجميني لأنه بدي أعقب على الأسئلة اللي كانت قبل في مجال.
Yes, let's. Are you there? Yeah, Lama. Okay, and I'll translate, Manal. Yes, I'll try.
اللي فهمت إنه إحدى الأسئلة إنه كيف ممكن ندعم غزة، كيف ممكن نبعث تبرعات.
So Manal is relating to the question by Elena regarding how can we support Gaza and how can financial support be sent to Gaza? Yeah.
وبهم إنه أطرح إنه في خطورة، إنه أنا بفهم إنه في الشرح اللي هو عن جد الصورة اللي تم وضعنا فيها من خلال الزملاء من غزة هي أكيد صورة كتير صعبة لحياة لناس اللي عايشين بحياة مش إنسانية نتيجة العدوان تبع الاحتلال. بس مهم إنه نتذكر إنه بغزة في ناس human beings، وإنه بالدعم هذا كتير مرات بيد واحدة يتم مساعدة، بس من ناحية تانية إذا الإشي ما بنعمل بطريقة مدروسة الإشي ممكن كتير يهدم بالمبنى المجتمعي تبع غزة. فأنا بدي ألفت النظر لأنه إذا بدنا نساعد بس مهم إنه مش لمساعدة وخلص.
Yeah, Manal is worried and she's raising our attention to a very important point is that from one side we send the money and some are helping, but at the same time others are destroying. So this helping from one side and the destruction from the other side is a bit problematic. And the question is how can we do it, but at the same time make sure that the constant destruction is not, if I get you right, Manalia, that this constant destruction is being really hindered rather than giving support from one side and destroying from the other side. Did I get you right?
مش كتير فهمت عليك، بس إنه الهدف إنه إذا في حاجة ل solidarity مع الفلسطينيين ومع غزة، في حاجة إنه مش بس إنه تبعت مصاري، في حاجة لإنه تكون كمان واعي لإيش الإشي بيعمل تدخل. الفلسطينيين مش محتاجين دعم مادي، إنه الفلسطينيين محتاجين إمكانيات وحرية إنه يعيشوا حياتهم كرامة. الدعم المادي نوعا ما فيه كمان خطورة لاستعمار من نوع آخر.
Yeah, what Manal is really, this is what I try to translate is exactly sometimes financial help has its own risks and we need to be careful that it's more important to support the cause and to support and prevent the continuous attack than supporting financially. I see a question from Devin. Devin, go ahead.
Yes, Salama, thank you. I really appreciate that point about the just needing to understand how, just throwing money on an issue isn't necessarily gonna solve it. And at the same time, this piece, I love Asata Shakur, how she uplifts the need for weapons of mass construction. You know, I think we need to also just be supporting everybody as much as possible who's as fighting for spaces of livability, and any way we can help. And there is for folks in the US, the Gaza Mental Health Foundation is something that is I put the link in the chat. So if that's something that folks want to support, and none of the funds come to us at all in the US. It's 100% volunteer. All of the money goes to mental health organizations on the ground. And I'm happy offline to speak more about that if needed to anyone. I can put actually I put on the link. There's an email that you can also reach out to us if needed.
Yeah, thank you very much for this point, Devin.
I'm sorry, where is that link, please?
Can you, yeah, Devin will now put it on the
chat.
Yes, thank you. Chat? Yeah, Gwen, I see your hand raised. Yeah.
Yes. First of all, I want to say how very moved and affected I've been by all the presentations and the different ways in which you've spoken about debilitation and livability in such incredibly powerful ways. I think my question is more to Serena, which is about activism and what Serena has maybe noticed about new developments in activism across the whole of Palestine in the last month, and whether Serena could say something about that.
So just let me get this straight. You mean how Palestinians are being activists during the last year, or what exactly?
Yes, whether there's been a difference in the activism that's happened in the last month since the attacks on Al-Aqsa and then the attacks on Gaza.
Yes. Well, yes. The last attack in 2014, the social media and the power of social media is not the same as it was at the last attack. So what happened in Jerusalem? I mean, the whole why the attack started because we were defending our land, and what happened in Jerusalem and Al-Aqsa, how is the ethnic cleansing and the land thefting just really moved our souls. We couldn't handle this. We couldn't our brothers and sisters in Jerusalem are being evacuated from their homes. So this is why we were defending this. So what happened in Gaza? So as the reason of the last attack was just to shut us and to make us stay silent, that what Israel is doing is to separate Gaza from other cities in Palestine. Gaza is something as rather than Jerusalem or West Bank. So, but what happened this time, that Palestinians were more aware of their cause, more aware of the right of their land. So many people were so activist. I have my friends were on social media posting and tweeting. I had an interview during the war with BBC, and as an international student, I was telling my friends what was really happening. So my friends all over the world were going to the protest and sending me their pictures, how they're defending and saying free Palestine. So this time was different. People, because Palestinians here were doing so much effort in educating the people around the world from the scratch what has been happening in Palestine since 1948. So this time was different, and this is why we were we had our hope during the last days, and it's still till now. I mean, people are still talking about Sheikh Jarrah and Hay Silwan, Al-Aqsa. So we will never stop. We will just keep being activists and saying about our rights and our land. So yeah, it has been different, absolutely.
Thank you, Serena. I think that you're pointing to something extremely important, which is the constant trial of the settler colonial state of Israel was to dismember Palestinian, to uproot Palestinian. And what we have seen this time is that Lid, Haifa, Yafa, al-Fahm, with Gaza and with the different places in Gaza, with Sheikh Jarrah and Silwan. And so I guess in Ramallah and other places, so there is no way you can really fragment. You are trying, but at the same time, the ability to really fragment a community that is so connected to a just cause was very strong. And Serena was telling us, and also in the discussion with Dr. Muhammad and with Sufyan and with Basma, is that the moment they saw the different mobilizations around the world, and the fact that the world is really standing for Palestinians, that gave them more power. And I think that there was also a very important point in the chat that I was missing here, that Jonathan mentioned, that the importance of also looking at the performing arts community that are organizing around Palestine, and this may like enrich beyond the money and beyond it's this sense of solidarity and togetherness. So thank you, Serena. Cheryl, you had a point that would be the last one, maybe, and
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Nadera. First of all, I'm Cheryl from Ohio, was invited by dear and precious friend who's also on the call, Linda Mansour. First of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for sharing these testimonies and allowing us to see the truth of what's happening. And just in the interest of time and out of respect for time, I wanted to pose this question, and perhaps someone can I can engage after the call or at another time. But as Linda and I have talked, and I particularly have a great burden for women, for my sisters, wherever they live, and in particular, am moved with compassion by the women in this part of the world, in Gaza. And as you had pointed out earlier, Dr. Madera, about the voices of the fathers that are on this call. So there's Serena and there's voices of the fathers, but interestingly, no mothers today. And so my question is, how can I, as an advocate for women and children, with so much to give, how can I support my sisters in Gaza? Understanding that livability and safety, all of those things, and the mental health issue, concerns because of the trauma, understanding all of those are at the forefront. But the souls of my sisters are what I would love to be able to contribute to in terms of their well-being as women. And so if anyone can speak to that, or if you could, someone be willing to chat with me at another time, that would be great. But that's my heart.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Actually, this is a great question, and you're talking to someone who usually looks closely at this issue, but I would really connect you to what Basma was talking about. For example, the issue of birthing mothers and what happened with pregnant and birthing mothers, and there the element of pregnancy and birthing and the politics of birthing in Gaza is something important. Also, there is, if I may, and I think that Dr. Yasser might also answer your question, but if I may, I can refer you to one of the very, very important reports that was written by a colleague of mine from Birzeit University, Dr. Rima Hamami, about the issue of women in Gaza and the analysis of GBV with the political situation, gender-based violence and the political situation. The last thing would be Dr. Yasser. And this is an opportunity to say thank you for your help in putting this group together. Without you, I wouldn't have managed to have such amazing voices, amazing witnesses. Dr. Yasser?
Thank you very much, Nadir, and everyone. Let me begin by thanking the 4 colleagues who have really given their testimonies. And I'd like to say that we have like hundreds of thousands of families that are in Gaza Strip or in West Bank or Jerusalem or Palestinians living inside Israel who have such tremendous stories that need to be heard, and I would like to answer simply the question that what can we do? Not everyone, of course, can come and provide mental health care in Gaza or Palestine. It's not as easy as it sounds. But please use the tools that you can use or you may use. You live in democratic states, you live in democratic countries, you have your own parliamentarians, you have your own representatives, you can talk to congresswomen, congressmen, senators, you can talk to members of the parliaments, wherever you live. Please push towards ending the cause, the root cause of all of these problems, of all of those difficulties. Now the people are moving around the globe. We see demonstrations in all cities, not only in capitals, but also in all cities. Please support those people and talk more about the Palestinian difficulties, the Palestinian issues. It's not only men, sometimes it's not only women, sometimes it's not only children, sometimes it's the whole complexity of the condition. And this is perhaps the fifth, I would say, not the fourth, because the demonstrations of the Great March of Return were also happening for more than a year. This is the fifth scenario that we are simply that we are attacked. That the huge military attacks are used against people in Gaza, and this should stop one way or the other. And this is again the moment that we need to raise our voices. In 2009, in 2013, 12, in 2014, and in 2019, I was telling people, please do not let things just go away. Do not be responsive for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. No, continue your activism. And if Serena and Muhammad and Sufyan and Basma are not giving up, and hope is still there, I hope that you also continue to do your best, and I hope that you also continue to support us, and I hope that you will never give up. We are not giving up, so please do not give up and continue the great work that you are doing, and we know that you are doing that. We feel it, we hear it, we read it, we see it in social media. Just go on, please, go on and continue those great offers. Thank you, Nadra.
Thank you, Dr. Yasser. I think that it was very important to also take our actions into political actions, because this is really at stake at this point. Let me wrap up our Cafe Palestine today to say that the testimonies that we have heard today make us, I hope, see where exactly the real hope is. And the real hope is with us acting, as Dr. Yasser was saying, as Serena was sharing with us, and where freedom lies. So in truth, hope and freedom of the mind is what we as Palestinians nourish and cherish. It's hope and freedom and togetherness. It's the beauty of those voices of power in and with pain, whether Serene, Sufyan, Basma, and Muhammad are invoking. Serena, Muhammad, Sufyan, and Basma's illuminations are their attempts, and this is what I have seen, to expose their visible and invisible form of state terror. Basma was talking about breathlessness, and Serena was talking about being and living a life that is closest to death. But in these conditions are not the only way to look at their precarity, but also the unification, the solidarity, the love, the hope that we've heard from Muhammad and Sufyan. So their precarity, as apparent in their narrations, were clear, and their politically induced violence condition exposed a variety of scenes. The scenes that we have seen that maximize their vulnerability during the latest attack on Gaza, and differentially expose them and their beloved ones to injury, to death, to displacement and destruction without protection. And we need to remember, as an international community, those that can affect their countries in the US, in the UK, in Europe, and other places, that they are left without protection, and that cannot continue. Their voices and their attentiveness to states' performance of power over their mere bodies, their terrible spectacles of the occupiers' domination requires us to act. And today, yes, today. So I would really ask you to keep in mind that our job is to act in a million ways, and there are different ways to really act.